All right, good day, everybody. Once again, it is me, the J to the E to the double F free. This is Jeffrey Harris, and you're listening to the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. For today's interview, we are welcoming back a return guest. He is the Caribbean Heavyweight Champion. He is MLW star, Richard Holliday. Richard Holliday is part of the MLW roster. He signed a multi-year new contract with the company earlier this year, and now MLW is finally getting back to action. The company is restarting with new shows, new episodes of MLW Fusion on beIN Sports, on YouTube, on Fubo TV, DAZN, starting later this month, November 18th. So we are going to talk to Richard Holliday all about that. So stay tuned. We have an exclusive interview with Richard Holliday coming up right now here on the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. And we have a returning guest today on the show. And to show that I have learned from his first appearance, this man is the AirPod God. He is the Consumers Champion, the most marketable man in wrestling, the Caribbean Heavyweight Champion. He is the Dynasty's Richard Holliday. Richard, was this a better introduction this time around?
That was a satisfactory introduction. You got all of my monikers correct, including probably the most important at the moment, which is the Caribbean Heavyweight Champion. So it is good to be on the show. It is good to be introduced properly, and let's get this show going.
Most importantly, how is your face/skin doing after it was hurt and you were feeling very down about that? How is the process going? Do you feel like a beautiful human being again?
Well, of course. I mean, prior to, the very friendly dynastic wager between Hammerstone and myself, everything was going swimmingly in the world of my skin. And then this kind of came abruptly, and things just went a little bit too far, Jeffrey. And that seems to happen when you take two alpha males who are very competitive and want to win. As dynastic as we are, and as brotherly as we are, we both wanted to win. And my face/skin is obviously the moneymaker. That is what draws the consumers to the screens to watch me every single week on MLW. And, it was detrimental. But we have recovered. We've made a full recovery, and my face/skin is better than ever. Which is tough to match, but it is better than ever.
But the fact that a kid was like looking at you funny, like where were the parents in all of this? How could parents raise a child to do that to you? That's offensive.
You know what? We're living in a much different world nowadays. Parents are not raising their kids with the morals and the respect that I was given when I was being raised by my lawyer/father. And now, kids are just rude, and kids are just shouting out things and speaking their minds a little too much. And, my face/skin, maybe it wasn't ready to be seen in the public. That may be true. But for that little kid to do what he did to me, just disgraceful. And it's a reflection of the parenting.
When we last spoke, it was over 6 months ago. It was April. We didn't know when MLW was coming back on the air. Now we know it's coming back on the air on Wednesday, November 18th. The restart is official. What can fans and viewers expect from the MLW restart and from the Dynasty?
Well, the consumers, most importantly, they can expect to see a lot of great things coming out of the MLW restart, specifically between Hammerstone and myself, which is really a majority of the reason why people watch MLW Fusion. Of course, there are other, great people who are on the show, great professional wrestlers. We offer so much just in the landscape of pro wrestling and in the marketplace. I truly believe that we are one of the most diverse shows that you could possibly watch. But, if I'm just going to be a little bit biased, and I think I'm going to be, the Dynasty has some really great things planned. And between me, recognized as the Caribbean champion and taking that championship to heights that it's never been before, and Hammerstone and whatever's going on with him and Jacob Fatu, something's got to come to a head there. And that's what consumers are really getting excited about. I think it's those two kind of situations that people are really gravitating towards the most.
Now, I've also noticed on the YouTube videos, it seems Hammerstone is quite concerned about CONTRA-UNIT trying to hinder and block the restart, and the Von Erichs are like, "Yeah, we'll team up with Hammerstone." Is this how do you feel about this potential alliance, and would you be willing to align with the Von Erichs against CONTRA-UNIT?
Well, it really boils down to the fact that the Von Erichs' father still owes me a cup of coffee, and I'm not over that yet.
Okay.
He knocked that square out of my hand, which was probably the rudest thing anybody's ever did, aside from the kid who was making fun of my face/skin. But, you know, the Von Erichs, they are a historic wrestling family. They've obviously, you know, earned their stripes within this business. Maxwell and myself had quite interactions with them, which I do not forget. However, maybe I can forgive. I don't know. Maybe I can. You know, the Von Erichs, they've always had good intentions. They've never been, I guess, bad people. But, you know, they did do me wrong by taking my championships. And Hammerstone reached out to them. So I don't know. I guess it's a conversation that we're going to have. Maybe Hammerstone can convince me. He's convinced me to do other things, like do a canning competition. So we'll see if maybe this is one of the things he can convince me on.
I think they should buy you at least 2 cups of coffee, or like a coffee machine, or a coffee maker, or cappuccino maker, or something. I think they need to give you a sign of good faith, a sign of goodwill.
They need to extend the olive branch there, specifically the father. My gripe is really with Kevin Von Erich.
Yeah.
If he's listening, Kevin, you owe me a cup of coffee. You know, it's really that simple, Kevin. I don't really care what you did in the Sportatorium in 1987, because, you know, a little over a year ago, you knocked a cup of coffee out of my hand that I paid good money for.
Now, there have also been new deals between MLW, Fubo TV and DAZN, so there will be new eyes and new audiences, new consumers. New consumers will be tuning in to MLW just to watch you, to watch Dynasty and Hammerstone. What can fans expect from these new consumers expect from Richard Holliday and Dynasty for this upcoming restart?
Well, first and foremost, how exciting is it that we're on DAZN and we're on Fubo, these really great platforms that are making waves, you know, within the OTT world. And, you know, cable television, I'm not going to say it's a thing of the past, because it's certainly not, but it definitely is fading away in a sense that there are so many different options for consumers to have a streaming device or have some sort of service where they can watch whatever it is that they want to watch. And the availability in 2020 heading into 2021 is greater than it's ever been before. So kudos to me for kind of following that and listening to the marketplace and realizing what we need to do to be successful. So in order for the new consumers, if I can address them, the consumers who have never watched us, we're going to be seeing us because they have a DAZN subscription or they have a Fubo Sports subscription. Get ready, because MLW Fusion is going to give you probably the best professional wrestling that you're going to see in the marketplace today. Again, am I being biased? Probably, but I do believe I am factual when I say that. So get ready, get excited, and particularly watch out for the WWE, because as we all know, that is the most entertaining part of the show.
I apologize for even asking you this, Richard, but what about ring rust? Is that going to be a factor?
Absolutely not. Ring rust doesn't exist in my world. Neither does for Hammerstone. You know, there's an old homage: don't get ready, stay ready. And the Dynasty always stays ready. We're always ready for anything that's going to happen. I can't speak for the other competitors who are going to step into the ring, but for Hammerstone and myself, I can 100% say ring rust is just not really a concern of ours.
What do you think it is about CONTRA-UNIT that they have that? Why do they want to block this restart? I mean, this is good for the business. This is good for everybody. What do you think their problem is? Because I just can't fathom why they would do something like this, especially at a time like this.
Well, it's a lot easier than you have to think about. I mean, you don't have to dive too deep into it. Jacob Fatu is on top of the mountain right now, the proverbial mountain, quote unquote. Yeah. He's the heavyweight champion. Now, Hammerstone is gaining momentum like you wouldn't believe. Why wouldn't you want to stop this restart? Why would you want the Dynasty to keep on this upward trend that we are on? Which is a very successful upward trend if you look at the numbers. And Dynasty is really taking over the show. not that we weren't already taking over prior to the restart, but man, was our momentum swinging. And Contra got scared, and Contra's nervous because they know that they have Fatu at the top of the mountain, but very easily he can come down.
Now, before all the pandemic shutdowns, there was the MLW AAA show. Did you have any inkling when that show happened, like that this was going to be like the last major wrestling event with thousands of fans in attendance before the whole world was basically shut down? Did you have any inkling like, oh, this is going to be like the last really big one for a while? And I guess what was that adjustment period like dealing with the aftermath?
Well, I think a lot of us, really a majority of the population, was living in the unknown, and we didn't really know what to expect. I did have a bit of an inkling because right around this time we performed in Tijuana in March, and this is when obviously March Madness is going on, and there's the NBA is in full swing, getting ready for the playoffs, and those are two major sporting events that got canceled. So once I saw those get canceled, I said, well, pro wrestling is eventually going to follow this. And it was just one domino after another that just led to cancellations of everything and a complete shutdown of the economy and everything that just really life in general shut down. So it was an unknown, but I think it was, you kind of had to see the forest between the trees. The writing was kind of on the wall.
Have you gotten stir crazy during this sort of, off season?
Yes and no. I think that, I think this was a really excellent opportunity for self-improvement for anybody who needs that, and an avenue to kind of try new things, maybe just in life, in your personal life. Me, I was still able to, things that were taken away from me that did kind of make me go a little stir crazy was the ability to just go and hang at a coffee shop. I wasn't able to do that. The gym was shut down for so long. That was obviously irritating me. But I'm very adaptable, Jeffrey. I'm very adaptable to my environment and to be able to adapt and move with the time. So I was able to do workouts on my own and still maintain my level of athleticism. I was able to, start making my own coffee at home and enjoying that. Trying new recipes in the kitchen. I'm a bit of a cook, Jeffrey. I bet you didn't know that. And just trying new things. I purchased a bike. I started bike riding a lot because obviously quarantine was during the summer. So I got on my old two-wheeler and started strolling around. And I was able to avoid the stir craziness simply just by being me.
Now, I've been reading reports that MLW, that the talent has been very positive with regards to the COVID-19 protocols that are being taken right now. Do you want to speak to that at all? And would you say that MLW is handling the COVID-19 protocols better than maybe other major promotions? I'm not going to name names, but there have been COVID-19 outbreaks in other major wrestling promotions that have been active during this whole pandemic. And I've only heard glowing things about what's been going on in MLW, who has taken their time and done a lot of research to prepare for this restart.
Yeah, I think I'm certainly not going to mention any other promotions either, but I will say MLW did the wait and see approach. Let's wait and let's see what's working and what's not, because we don't want to put our athletes, we don't want to put our consumers, and we don't want to put our staff in any sort of danger. Let's wait and see, and let's make sure that we know exactly what we need to do in order to do a safe restart. And MLW did a fantastic job of that. I couldn't be more proud of what MLW did in terms of keeping us safe and making sure that COVID-19, we were alert of it, but it almost eliminated the concern because we took the proper precautions in order to make sure that the athletes, the staff, everybody was completely safe. So my hat is off. I don't wear hats, but my proverbial hat is off to MLW for the way that they handled COVID-19.
Now, also since we last spoke, you signed a multi-year contract with MLW in May. How happy were you to get this major contract, and does it prove that Richard Holliday is the premier athlete in professional wrestling?
Yeah, it was sort of an easy decision for me to stay with Major League Wrestling because I feel like, A, I have a lot of unfinished business there, and B, I do believe we are on the cusp of greatness, and I've said that on several different interviews. That there are a lot of other promotions that Richard Holiday could have popped up in. And trust me, I get the tweets. I want to see Richard here. I want to see Richard there. Well, guess what? You get to see Richard each and every week on MLW Fusion. That's where I'm going to be. Now, in terms of the business side of things and maybe why MLW wanted to re-sign me, I think it was quite apparent. My first impression within Major League Wrestling was strong. It's more than strong. I proved to be a major player in this business, in this organization. Somebody that moves the needle. Somebody that can represent this company to the highest aptitude that it possibly can be represented. And that's where I come in. The most marketable thing, not something that I just made up or something that I just put on the back of my trunks. I truly believe that. And Major League Wrestling also truly believes that as well. That's why they put me on ABC News. That's why they put me, on radio shows, because they know that nobody's going to represent the company better than me. I'm not being,
no ego. No ego. There is no ego here.
There's no ego here. This is
just facts.
Just simple facts.
So you are, with this contract, do you see yourself as the face or one of the faces of the company now?
Yes, I do. Undoubtedly, I think, my goal, and I've had conversations with court that the goal is for Richard Holiday's name to be synonymous with Major League Wrestling. Now, also keep in mind, I think Hammerstone is as well. I think we're both the faces right now. There's no competition between Hammerstone and myself. We both, have had several conversations about how me and him are the guys. We're the two that's going to steer the ship. And I believe that we are doing that now. And I couldn't be more proud of what we're doing.
Now, what do you think of some of the newer faces in MLW, the guys who are coming in, who have combat sport, martial art backgrounds? You have Dominic Guarini. You have the former light heavyweight champion, King Mo, Muhammad Lawal. What do you think about their presence now in MLW and coming into pro wrestling?
Well, I think that Core Bauer scours the scene for people who are going to be different and bring something different to the table and to the product. And, there's only one Richard Holiday. There's only one Alex Hammerstone. Those spots are filled. But we do need other people. We do need people that are going to... And again, this is why we call it MLW Fusion, because there's such a legitimate fusion of talent and different styles that we bring to the table. Now, Dominic Guarini is much different in the ring than I am. And he brings a legitimate, martial arts background. King Mo, let's talk about legitimate badass that he is. He'll knock your teeth clear out of your jaw. So, much different than Richard Holiday, much different than Alex Hammerstone, but a necessity to the show in order to have a real fusion.
As good as those guys are, I don't think they could take you or Hammerstone if they got in the ring when push came to shove.
That goes without saying. But you said it, so I'm going to agree with you.
You guys are just on a totally different level. Now, I'm curious, since you are the consumer's champion and you are the most marketable, does this new contract, will we be seeing, I don't know, Funko Pops? Will we be seeing action figures of Dynasty, of Richard Holiday?
Well, I think that there's so many different avenues that we can go down eventually. I think the main focus right now is just getting a product on your screens and making sure that, the consumers are getting their fix of MLW on a weekly basis. Once that happens, then we can get into, the back-end stuff. But always keep in mind, I'm always thinking of the next marketing strategy and the next way to make money and the next way, to get my brand out there and grow this brand. So, is it a Funko Pop? I'm not so sure. Is it a T-shirt? Possibly. Is it, a commercial for my Dynasty coffee? It may be. So I would just say, as a consumer, stay tuned, and you never know what's going to pop up.
How do you feel about Funko Pops?
I don't collect them. However, if they're going to make me money, then I love them.
Exactly. Now, are you developing your own coffee blend?
I am. It is in the works. I am not going to rush greatness.
Yep.
I refuse to put something on the market that I don't fully believe in the sense of this is the best. So I will eventually make that, and then once that does, it will go onto the market.
So do you like your coffee iced? Do you like it hot? Is it just depending on what mood you're in? Since you are a coffee connoisseur.
Well, It all depends on the time of day, and it also depends on the temperature, and it also depends on the day of the week. I typically reserve my morning coffee for just a hot black. Later on in the afternoon, I do enjoy an iced. Unless it's freezing out, and in the winter, then I'll typically stick with hot black for the most part. I reserve my specialty coffees for the weekend, so cortados, lattes, cappuccinos, those will be on the weekend pretty specifically. I try to avoid those during the week just to not add the added sugars and carbohydrates that go along with making a latte. So that's pretty much how I do it. But trust me, I'm having an overflow of coffee. It's a constant flow of caffeine within my system.
Have you ever had a ginger snap iced coffee?
I can't say that I've had.
Okay. If you're ever in the Southern California area, there's this place called Phil's Coffee, and they make a really dynamite ginger snap iced coffee. They're still open now, and I'm not sure they are up to your standards and what is acceptable for you to drink, but I think they do a pretty good job, and it's the best ginger snap iced coffee I've ever had. But
well, that's a very specific cup of coffee right there, ginger iced coffee. So, I don't know how big the pool is for them to be the best, of the best out of how many. I'm not sure. It might be a very small pool. Now, what part of Southern California are we talking about here?
Glendale.
Okay. I've had several coffee shops in the Santa Monica area.
Okay.
That are really tremendous. I will say Southern California's coffee game is on point.
We're not talking about run-of-the-mill Starbucks here. This is this.
No, we're talking very bougie.
Bougie, yes.
Yeah, very bougie.
Very bougie, but I was very impressed. I don't know if I could call them the best either, but I was very impressed with this iced coffee game over at Phil's. Okay. So I also read that MLW they actually have a CDC official to oversee the COVID-19 protocols. Are those reports accurate?
Yes.
It's very impressive now, because I really just feel like right now, health and safety is very important. So I'm very happy to hear that MLW has taken the steps to protect the athletes and make sure everyone's safe right now, because I feel like right now not everyone is putting their best foot forward here.
No, you see a lot of things, happening in specifically independent wrestling, where, there might be an outbreak or, something were to occur. MLW is not taking those risks. So it's really great that MLW has, made it a safe environment for us to work and for us to provide, what we provide safely.
Okay, just a couple more questions, Richard. So come November 18th, does Richard Holliday and Dynasty, are there any surprises that are planned?
Well, I can't tell you that.
Okay. Then it wouldn't be a surprise, I guess, right?
Exactly. I think you knew the answer before you asked the question.
I apologize. Okay, so last thing, if you have any plugs, anything you'd like to share with our listeners, any merchandise or social plugs you'd like to share for Richard Holliday, Dynasty, I would like to give you that time to do that. So please go ahead, Richard.
Of course. Consumers, I am speaking directly to you. If you want to follow me, well, you should be following me already, but if you're not, on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me at Most Marketable. And then, of course, go on to ProWrestlingTees.com, search Richard Holliday, buy my designs, or go to MLWshop.com and buy the great t-shirts that I have there. They're different on both ends. I also have a Dynasty coffee mug that you can have your morning, afternoon, and late evening coffee out of. I swear it just makes the coffee taste better. So be a smart consumer, breathe rarefied air, follow me, purchase my merch. It's really that simple. I'm
going to get the coffee mug, and I'm going to have some ginger snap in that coffee mug, and it's going to taste that much better.
Then it will be the best.
Then it will be the best. Okay. You've been listening to Richard Holliday, the Caribbean Heavyweight Champion, the AirPod God, the Consumers Champion, the most marketable man in wrestling. He has already taken over the world. You just need to realize it, accept it, believe it, learn it. Thank you, Richard Holliday. You've been listening to the 411 Wrestling Interviews Podcast. Thank you, everybody. All right, so that was Richard Holliday. Thank you very much to Richard, the AirPod God, the most marketable, the consumer champion, the Caribbean heavyweight champion, the star of MLW. Thank you so much to him for joining us today. Remember, tune in November 18th for MLW, hashtag The Restart. Check out MajorLeagueWrestling.com, MLW.com for more info on that. Until next time, I want to remind you that you can listen to us on the 411 Mania YouTube channel, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Google Play. And if you could give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, if you can like, comment, subscribe to the show, subscribe to 411 Mania on YouTube, I would very much appreciate it. But more than anything, thank you very much for finding the show. Thank you for listening to us. And until next time, I am the J to the E to the double F-free. This is Jeffrey Harris, and you've been listening to the 411 Wrestling Interviews Podcast. Thank you, everybody.